George, how are you?
Good, thanks, friend. How are you?
I'm good. We're back for round two.
Yeah,
I was
perhaps.
just I was just thinking that last time we did it, that was a year ago.
Wow.
Because I just moved into my new house and my wife got stuck in the little
Yep, she got stuck in
vestibule.
between two doors.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like fucking hell, like it just I don't know, just times just seem to be accelerating as you get older.
Does.
I don't know. Like I remember like when I was 10, like it took forever for
Yeah, the
Christmas
summer
to come
seemed to
round.
last
Yeah,
a long time, and now it's just
it just goes. Like you blink like January feels like a couple of months ago.
the problem is, mate, we are old now, I think.
Mm,
Oldish.
yeah.
Older.
Yeah, it's not it's scary.
Yeah, very much so.
I'm starting to now look towards like 60 and I'm still less than 20 years away.
Yeah, let's not think about that.
Fuck. Anyway, how's life? What's been going on this year?
Yeah, just more of the same, playing the same old tunes for
Yeah.
for a lot of the gigs and then doing some interesting fun stuff.
Let's talk about the interesting fun stuff.
Yeah, I've been getting out and doing a lot of funk stuff. Yeah, I got to play with some older guys from the funk scene from the 80s.
Okay.
Errol Kennedy from Imagination, Junior Giscombe, and David Grant from, I remember him from the TV when I was a kid being a vocal coach.
That's cool. How did that come about? Just how gigs come about.
Yeah, exactly. Just somebody couldn't do it, a friend of mine, and put me on it, and it was great because it's my kind of gig, playing
Mm,
that Nile Rodgers kind of stuff
yeah.
with people that have worked with Nile Rodgers. It's quite interesting,
That's quite
It's
cool.
scary, but when they start to be nice to you about your playing, it's quite nice.
Nice. Cool. Where did you play?
It was just a Butlins Weekender thing.
Okay. Nice.
They are fun carnage.
Yeah, I mean I haven't done one for a while. Um Yeah, I just remember, like, if it's especially if it's Skegness, it's, like, just fucking the edge of the country,
Yeah,
and it's,
they usually are. Or Minehead or
yeah, Bognar's the only one that's relatively okay to get to, but, yeah, the other 2 are just they're just a bastard to get to.
they're fun gigs though, to appreciative crowds.
Yes, and yeah, I've always said that I'd happily play to crowds that wanna hear live music than doing function stuff or
Well, a lot of the time, those acts, the people that have gone to watch are there specifically to watch that genre of music. If
yeah,
not, they've picked out an act that they want to go and watch. And,
yeah,
so you tend to find the crowd know all the tunes. They're singing along to all the songs.
yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, like, I think playing to an audience that want to listen to live music is like regardless if it's you do 2 or 3 thousand at a place like Butlins or you just do it to 100 people in a small venue, as long as they're there to enjoy the set to enjoy music, it's always a fun night. Whereas you could be earning 500 quid on a function and you're just background noise and it's like this is fucking painful.
Yep. And
But yeah,
nobody's listening. Everyone's outside because it's still nice and sunny till
yeah,
11 or something. And then they all come in at 11:30 and want you to play more.
yeah. No, we're done.
More or
We're,
less to
we're
go
going
home.
going home.
Nobody asks you to clock in and do another spreadsheet at 6 o'clock.
Yeah. What was so when you got those gigs that came in, what was the learning like? Did you know most of them already, or was there a lot of learning to get through?
There was a lot of learning to get through, but with that style of music, in general, once you've set up the pocket, you're
Yeah,
there for most of the tune.
yeah,
A lot of them, it's, it might be a repeating figure,
yeah,
like da 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 da, and it's like a lot of people would be bored of that after 4 bars.
yeah.
But the art of playing that style of music is to just find that pocket and
Mm,
sit in it.
mm,
And I think that's the thing that makes you more hireable for those kind of things is that, you can keep on task and every bar is as important as the next.
yeah,
Whereas a lot of folks that don't do that kind of thing normally would just start playing and after a while they're drifting off and thinking about, going to be done in an hour. I'm going to get a beer or
yeah,
whatever. But it's all about just focus, which for someone as ADHD as myself
mm,
it's been a lifelong task to stay on task.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you find it easy to stay, like, if you just had that repeating rhythm for 3.5 minutes, do you find that easy to stay on?
It really depends who I'm playing with.
Right. Like, let's say you've got a dream band.
Yeah,
Everyone's in the pocket, no problem.
yeah. 20 minutes, I'm
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah,
I
okay.
can stay on task the whole time because every bar you're having to still assess what everyone else is doing to sort of fit in a pocket right,
Yeah.
you know, because everyone, we're all human. We're not metronomes. We all move.
Yeah.
We want to just stay there and hold it, you know? So it takes a lot of concentration to play that one thing the whole time.
Mm.
If you'd have asked me to do that when I was 16 and I was playing in a punk band, I would have said, no way.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't have been possible. It's a skill I've had to really work on.
Okay. Now, how did you work on it?
I mean, a lot of the things like that, I feel like you just have to gig and
Right.
play that style of music and do it. I mean, you know, there's a lot of metronome stuff you can do. Live and die by the metronome, you know.
Mm.
You have to. Whether you're just doing it to, you know, work on technique, or whether you're particularly working on pocket, playing with the metronome on 2 and 4 and just feeling where that space is in everything.
Mm.
That's what it's all about. It's just a lot of just doing it, you know. It's more of a for me, it's more of a listening thing. It's about being in a moment and hearing and feeling what everyone else is doing and fitting in with that, rather
Mm.
than this is my part, this is how it sounds, this is how I play it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, and do you find that, like, having ADHD helps with that?
No, it's the
No?
sometimes I'll be counting and I'll think, no, I've lost, I'm gone. I've just got
Yeah.
to listen for a drum fill to figure out where I am in the 8 bars again, you know?
Yeah.
It's difficult. I think it's a thing a lot of people struggle with on the inside, you know, especially
Okay.
with soloing and stuff. If you're not listening to the changes and really hearing where you are, it's really easy to just get lost.
Yeah, I mean, whenever I'm doing those kinds of gigs, I struggle with just my mind wandering.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily like if I can stay on the groove, but then you're like, I've got a 2.5 hour drive home.
Yeah.
That's a bitch. Fuck, what happened? What? I missed something. Yeah,
So
and yeah, that's kind of what I struggle with the most. I mean, I think that's just. I don't think your brain can concentrate on one thing for more than a couple of minutes. I think naturally you
I
start to
believe
wonder.
it's supposed to be 17 minutes or something when you're working on something, you know, when you're practicing.
Mm,
You're supposed to stop after 17 minutes and either have a break or,
yeah,
you know, look out the window or go and have a sandwich or something. But I think for people, neurodivergent people, it's even less.
yeah,
The way I always, if I'm really practicing hard, I have a list, and with all the things I'm working on, you know, there might be picking, legato, all the different technique things, say, and every day would be across the top. And every time you would do 5 minutes with a timer, with a metronome, and you play that thing. And when you hit 5 minutes, you stop. And if it was perfect, you put a tick in a box. If it wasn't, you put a cross. Now, when you get to the point where you've got a full line of ticks across the page, that thing is done and it can go off and you put something else on the bottom.
yeah.
You know, that's the way I've always intensely practiced.
Hmm.
But I would say that maybe I don't do that so much anymore. I find that as I get older and the more, you know, music is work,
Mm,
I find it hard to get into that headspace and sit down for 3 hours of solid, you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But then I found the older I get, the more I find that the things I'm working on are things that I work on in the moment while I'm playing on the gig.
mm,
Because, you know, I need that sort of, especially with like pocket stuff like what we're talking about, it's all about sort of haptic feedback from the rest of the band all the time.
mm,
And I think that's very difficult to practice on your own.
hmm,
You can have like recorded drum grooves, you can have metronomes, you can have backing tracks, whatever. They're never the same as playing with real people.
yeah.
Real people that are full of adrenaline, and you know the drummer's just done a great fill, and you all whoa, and then all of
Hey,
a sudden you've all shifted.
yeah.
You know that doesn't happen when you're at home in perfect conditions.
Mm,
It's
Or a pint glass gets thrown on stage, and then
yep. And then you're all like, no, it's next to my pedal board.
oh fuck.
Yeah, so those things, trying to keep your head while things are going on as well.
Yeah.
That's also something. But these are all things that it has to happen in the moment. And I mean, I don't know about you, but I spent a lot of years kind of just being in my own head, and
Mm.
it's since I've sort of opened that up, and I'm listening to what everyone else is doing and thinking about that rather than what I'm doing a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And I find in that funk music, it's a lot easier to do that because you can just kind of like settle in the pocket and clock your hands onto autopilot and be assessing what's going on rather than thinking, "Oh, this diminished tapping lick's
Yeah.
come," you know?
Yeah, am I gonna shoehorn this in?
Yeah, exactly. Spending the whole solo thinking about that lick that's coming at the end.
Yeah, it's like going back to what you're saying about practicing. Like I've never been one of those people who practiced the way that you just described, like putting the box out, writing stuff out. I did try. mm, I did the timer thing, and I had the metronome, and I think for me, I figured out what I need to do to achieve the same results, but without the meticulousness of it.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, I've always, I still do some work to metronomes. I'll still do specific exercises if I think, you know what, I need to look at this. But the whole writing things out, writing it down, putting a timer on, for me, that was just, it's like too methodical.
Yeah, I think for me, the reason it worked so well is that, I'll sit down and I'll say, right, I'm going to work on, I don't know, sweet picking, whatever.
Mm,
And, I'll start doing the exercise, and before you know it, my brain has wandered and my hands are doing something else, and then I'm just noodling.
yeah,
And then I'm wasting time.
yeah,
And I've only done 5 minutes of practice, and the rest of it was just nothing.
nothing, yeah,
So for me, to have that sort of, no, you're going to ignore the phone, you're going to ignore everything, and you're going to do this 5 minutes, and then once it's done, it's done. And then you
mm,
can look around and have a breath, and then I can go on to the next thing.
yeah,
And for me, that is a great way to keep my attention because I can just about do it for 5 minutes.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Whereas if I don't, I just get lost.
yeah,
I just end up, soloing, noodling, as we all do.
yeah. But that's just as fun. But yeah, if you set out with a specific goal, but
Well, I mean, I used to go through my list and then do the fun stuff.
yeah, as a reward,
Yeah, then I'm like, right, 20 minutes of just improvising over whatever I want now.
yeah, yeah.
And that was a good way to do it. But, the older I get, the more I don't really do that kind of stuff as much
Yeah.
anymore.
So, I mean, so how do you practice now?
Well, I mean, the busier you get, the
Yeah.
more your time in your practice room, studio, dojo, whatever you want to call it, the more that time is just spent learning material,
Mhm.
shedding things for gigs.
Yeah.
So a lot of it comes through that, and you can say, for example, I'm filling in on some gigs for you,
Mm.
doing some country stuff, and I love country, but I don't get to do it that often. So for me, a lot of practice will be like, there's that lick in that one tune that I've got to do in a month's time.
Mm.
That'll become something that I'm practicing.
How have you found that lick yet?
No, no,
There
it's
is.
the one.
There is. It's in the first tune. I listened to it first of all. It's like, oh, that's just a descending sixth thing, and then I listened to it. I was like, no, he's picking every note that's descending, and it took me fucking ages to get it.
So this is my point, when you are learning stuff for a lot of shows,
Mm.
rather than just, can you come tonight? It's Valerie and Superstition.
Yeah, yeah.
When you're learning a lot of stuff for a lot of shows, things do crop up. And I think it's important to sort of, instead of just saying, well, the gig's only X amount of money, I'll just blag my way through that bit.
Mm.
I think it's a good way to condition yourself to practice certain things and
Mhm.
make sure that everything's on point
Yeah.
rather than just, it's just one gig, I'll just do what I do and get
Yeah.
through it.
But the thing is, for me, like when I've had other people in on dep gigs for other shows, there's always, because we always talk as a band the first couple of rehearsals, like, oh, do you know what? The bass player will say, do you know what? There's that one fucking thing in there that kept tripping me up, so I worked on it, and I make notes of that. So when a dep comes in
Yeah.
and they get to that bit, I'm like, does he get it?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
if he gets it, it's like he got it, like nice. And I say the same thing to anyone who deps for me. I say to the other band members, like, did he get the thing right? Did he? How was the show? How did he do? Did he get the line? Did he do that? And if they're like, no, the guy, he just fucking blagged it and he just missed it completely. I was like, was it all right? So maybe I won't be giving that person a call again.
I mean, look, there's times when sort of just getting your way through it is what you do. You know, if you call me,
Yeah, I mean, depends on how. Like, if it was the day before, be like, I'm not asking anything like that.
yeah, or
If
like,
you
you
had
know,
it for
I've
3
had a car
months,
crash. Can you get there in 3 hours?
yeah,
Have your way through it.
yeah, I'll email the charts to you and
At that point, that guy that can just get through is the one you want.
yeah,
The one that isn't just going to crumble into a pile of dust when it comes to
yeah,
that lick.
yeah,
You know, sometimes you have to make that assessment. How much time do I have? Which bits are important? You know.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so I try to take parts from things that I've got to do and make those my practice. But a lot of the stuff I do think about, like I say, is on shows, on gigs, where they're a bit more free. I can think about things live, and they're things that you can't practice on your own. And I've got
Mm.
to that stage where those are the things I want to. I think last time I spoke to you about playing with the hi hats,
Yeah, yeah,
sitting in the pocket with the hi hats.
yeah.
How do you practice that at home?
I don't know because everybody plays it slightly differently,
Exactly.
and yeah, it's like different drummers will just give you different hi hat feels. For me, I've always done snare drum. That's what I latched onto because my first pro gig was a ska band, and
Yeah.
I would just lock onto the snare drum, and I can now I can now tell if I'm going to like a drummer by how they hit a snare drum,
Yeah.
and it's
I'm the
that
same
yeah
with the hi-hats.
yeah okay
Yeah. Because I like to play a lot of that funk type music, it's like all the 16th feel is in the
mm,
hats, you know, and it should be in the right hand as well. It's my opinion they should sort of sync up nice.
yeah
But I think the skill there that to work on is not it's not really sitting with the hats, it's analysing in real time what's going on.
yeah
How do you hear someone else's feel and sync yourself up with it?
mm,
And this is I feel like not as many guitar players think about that as they should,
yeah
because a lot of us come from the rock side
mm.
where, you know, the hats are just and then you just hit
yeah
the power chords and that's it. But, you know, when you venture into that other styles of music where it's all very syncopated and
mm,
it's all on the hats. But yeah, it's a skill of analyzing on the go rather than, you know, I'm gonna practice to recorded hi-hat grooves or whatever. I mean, there is value in that stuff,
yeah
definitely. Um, playing with drum loops and things like that, but you just get out there and play with good drummers is probably the best.
yeah. I think does Logic have if you can set up a drum groove on Logic and you can give it like a human
Yeah.
element to it, I think, and
Yeah.
it'll kind of not swing, but it'll sway a little bit and it'll move a little bit to give you more of a feel of a human.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a good way to get started. You know,
Yeah,
if you're someone who, you know, maybe you gig once a month with your originals band or something, you know, doing that at home is probably a great way to do it so that when you're on the gig, you can be trying to do it in real time with a real drummer,
yeah. Good drummer.
a good drummer. Great drummer is what we want.
Yeah, fucking hard to do it the shit drummer.
Yeah, yeah, that's a real skill.
Yeah. So how would you like how would you define to somebody who didn't know, how would you define what pocket is?
It's that comfortable, warm feeling
Yeah.
together.
When you piss yourself.
Yeah. Uh, it's very difficult to. For me, it's
Hmm.
consistency of where things are landing, and then also where they are synced up to where everyone else's things are landing. You know,
Yeah.
like the bass is going to be on the kick, and the guitar is going to be on the hi hats, and it's the way you all mesh together coherently. But Pocket as a individual, it's a hard one to describe.
I always thought of it as like you see the chair behind me. I'm sitting on. I've always felt that Pocket was a chair that you could just sit back in.
Yeah.
and you can slowly just rock it back and forward a little bit, and
Then again, that's a nice feeling as well, isn't it?
yeah, just
Relaxed. I
yeah.
feel it's when things feel relaxed as well. Certainly,
I
you
say
can
to
hear
my
that people sound stiff.
yeah,
That's the opposite of pocket.
yeah. So I say to my students that if they're playing slightly out, I just say, just sit back a little bit, physically sit back.
Yeah,
I want you to lean back a little in your chair and keep playing. Because when you lean forward, it's like you're in attack mode, like you're at the dog or a dog in a dog race, like ready to fucking go, and you're off. Where you sit back a little bit, and you're generally just groove a little better.
yeah, relaxing into it.
But it's a weird one. Like when I first started hearing it in studios and stuff, I was like, don't ask what it means. Just keep listening to the context. You'll get it.
Just pretend you
Yeah.
know.
But yeah, I think I mean, playing to clicks and playing to grooves and playing along to songs is that's kind of how I learnt to play. I didn't really, I no, I didn't do the click thing. Not early on. I just played along to record. I put Oasis records on and just jammed along, and Nirvana records. So there wasn't a lot of, like you said, there's not a lot of hi hats and pocket and feel. Not until I started to listen to Blood Sugar Sex Magic. It's like,
Flashy, isn't it?
yeah. But then when I started to get into the Chili Peppers, it's like this is a different feel of playing.
Yeah. It's
And
got a bounce to it.
yeah,
Yeah, it was similar for me, it was Nirvana, Blink-182, Green Day, Sum 41, all that punky stuff.
yeah,
So, historically, I'm a player that sort of leans forward a lot,
mm,
aggressively. So
yeah,
I suppose for me, it was definitely teaching myself to lean back in my chair, as you say,
mm,
and to just relax into it. And for me, it's more just assessing where things have got to sit.
yeah,
You know, if the drummer is playing like Travis Barker and he's almost leaning on
mm-hmm,
to the next 16th almost as he's so forward.
yeah,
And if you're sitting really back and it's just they're miles apart,
yeah,
you want them to be locking in. It's a tough thing to describe. I remember Jason Becker saying in a thing about when somebody asked him about phrasing. How do you
mm,
describe phrasing? How do you teach phrasing? He said, I don't know, just listen to Jeff Beck.
yeah,
And I think finding players that have great feel
mm,
and listening to those is probably a big part of it as well.
yeah,
You are what you eat. You are what you listen to.
yeah. And I think this is gonna. I've had over 50 episodes, and I think I've said it in every single episode that just people aren't listening to enough music,
No.
and it's fucking tragic.
And not enough music with human musicians.
Yeah, yeah. I guess the music that listen. Certainly, I think the music. A lot of my students and kids listen. Well, not my kids. I think my kids. I've set them. It's true. I've set them right. A lot of the music the kids bring in, it's like this is all just. I can hear that this has been made on a computer, and there's
Yeah.
not.
And don't get me wrong, there are producers that do write with feel. And
Mm,
you can hear that even in, dance music, disco house, whatever, there is feel to it.
yeah.
They are probably producers that play an instrument well as well,
Mm,
rather than the producers that don't.
yeah.
I'll leave that there.
Yeah. No, I can. There was a couple of people that I used to hang around with 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, and I was part of this little group, this little recovery group. They were like 3 or 4 DJs, and they'd make their own music. And I'd listen to it, and I go, "You guys can't play an instrument." And I wouldn't say this to them, but I'd listen to it like, "You can't play an instrument." I can tell by the way that you're writing and arranging music that it's just like, where's the fucking melody?
Yeah,
Where is it? It's just a groove with some congas and some percussion, and you've just dropped a female vocal that you like the sound of on top of it, and it's
yeah.
where is it?
Yeah, and there's a lot of that going around, and it may start to really become a problem. I mean, last time we spoke about people not gigging as much, and a lot of musicians' goal now or benchmark of being successful is how many likes do I get on this video that I posted from my bedroom?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't gone down that road in a long while, but the whole the whole Instagram guitar player thing. What did you make it? I can't remember the guy's name. The guy who was faking all the YouTube videos.
Do you want me to say it?
Go on.
Giacomo Tora.
Yeah.
Tora?
What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it speaks to a bigger problem, I think.
Mm.
of this. I mean, even if you're not faking it, the fact that a lot of the things that people do are now, it's the 160th take of that one lick.
Yeah.
Is that a real representation of how you play?
Mm.
And this is why, I mean, I prefer to post live videos.
Yeah, because then you can just say, "Yeah, the reason it's shit is because it was live."
Well,
That's what I say.
I tend to try and pick a good
Yeah.
one.
That's the best of a bad bunch. All right, I'll put that up.
Yeah, but because sitting in your studio, you can do one lick all day long until you get it right, or a bit like that fella, you can play it at half speed and then speed it up, which is
Yeah.
a mime to it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't I'm just not in that world. I had no idea who he was, and I don't follow I mean, the only people that I follow kind of on Instagram that aren't people that I work and gig with, there's probably, I don't know, a dozen, like the Andy Woods, the Greg Koch,
Yeah.
Carl Verheyen, those kind of people.
Well, they
Steve,
are faking, let's put it that way.
they're fucking not. And yeah, when I see kids doing it, I actually just scroll right. I don't want to see kids doing stuff I can't do. Fuck that. I'm not following him. I'm not following that 12-year-old kid from Japan who's shredding Ingve. No, I'm not interested.
No, no, it's too much, too close
Yeah.
to home.
Yeah, that hits a bit too hard.
But no,
Yeah, I was totally out of the loop, and I was kind of like, oh, what the fuck? Who cares? Like, of course it's going on. Yeah, I just found myself. I watched 2 or 3 videos of people responding to it, and I just found myself saying to myself, like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you watching this? Like, who the fuck cares? I mean, if yeah, I don't know, I didn't get that involved. If the guy's literally stealing shit and making money off it, then
well, I think
I think that's an issue. But I'm still like, I don't give a fuck. Someone else can sort this out. I'm not sorting this out.
I think the worst part of it was he was allegedly, let's say, um, taking solos, other people's solos from videos, recording them as his own, and then selling transcriptions.
Right.
And if it's true, there was supposedly an instance of him receiving a custom built guitar on an endorsement and doing one video and then selling it straight away.
Yeah.
Generally, doesn't seem great.
Yeah, it seems a bit scummy.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the thing that's worrying about all of it is that it went on so long without a lot of people noticing.
Mm.
And even when he was outed, people were commenting on those videos saying, "Oh, we love you. We still think you're great," and all this stuff. It does speak to a big problem that people can't tell,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
which is something that needs to be addressed. I think people should be able to tell whether somebody is faking playing or not.
I mean, yeah. I had one student come in this is probably a couple of months ago, and he said that he wants to learn how to shred. And he's probably only been playing guitar for 2 years. Like he would struggle to play any song that had a B flat in it. And I was like, yeah, all right. I was like, and he kept like every week he'd come back in. He said, "I want to have a learn at this." And I went, "Where are you getting this? Who are you watching?" And so he pulls out a YouTuber, and I'm like, right, okay. Like, how do I deal with this delicately? And I essentially said, look, while it's great that you've got your eye on this stuff, I said you still kind of struggle to play a G to C chord in time. So I'd be doing you a huge disservice if I started showing you these sweet picking licks
Yeah,
before you can play through Country Roads or Wonderwall or anything like that. And I said, look, we are moving towards this kind of stuff. Like we started a really simple. It was Back in Black he wanted to learn. And he was struggling with a little pull off riff, and so I gave him something else, an old '50s record. I can't remember what it was called. Shivers down the backbone. I got the skies in there. I can't remember what it's called. Shaking all over.
right.
And I said, get that riff down because that'll then lead you towards the finishing the Back in Black thing. I'll show you a minor pentatonic scale so we can start looking at some of that stuff. But I said, ultimately, I don't want you really doing any lead or solo stuff for a good couple of years until you can play to a click, till
Yeah,
you can play funk stuff. I want you to be able to play in time. I want you to groove
yeah,
because that is the foundation of everything.
yeah. I feel like I went about it all the wrong way as well. I started off playing in bands, playing pop punk music and stuff, and that was all very thrashy. And then I got into sort of Dave Matthews and John
Okay.
Mayer when they were playing acoustic and stuff. So that kind of helped me out a lot. But it wasn't really until, sort of a Continuum album came out that I was like, oh, I can't do any of this stuff.
Mm.
I can play Gravity, but I can't make it sound like he makes it sound.
Yeah.
And it's a big old struggle to learn that stuff the other way around.
Yeah.
When you can already play John Petrucci solos, to be
Mm.
trying to learn to play one chord in time for a whole tune.
Mm.
It's hard
Yeah. I
because my
mean,
brain's already used to.
yeah. Yeah, but I think for me, like, if you go around it the other way and you get a solid foundation in timekeeping,
Yeah, well, that
tempo,
becomes a lot easier.
subdivisions, then when you say, all right, so that little 16th note thing that we were doing where you're just now we're going to do 16th note alternate picking. So you should have that under your fingers. It's just then a matter of syncing your right and left hand up together.
Yeah, yeah.
Once you've got the feel of 16th notes or triplets, where you apply it, whether it's right hand rhythm or right hand picking or even sweeping or anything, I think that comes easier.
I suppose that's the thing again, going back to Pocket, it's internal.
Mm,
Like, my Strat's sitting on the shelf behind me there. It's got no pocket without me.
yeah.
It's all in here, and that's the thing. It's got to be internalized before you can do it.
Mm, yeah. But the trouble is that doesn't sell tickets, does it? It doesn't sell clicks. You don't really sell courses on it. But
Not unless you're Corey Wong, I think.
no. Okay, yeah, all right. I'll stand corrected on that.
But you were right. I think the plain funky 16ths pack probably doesn't sell anywhere near as sweet picking arpeggios pack.
Yeah. I don't. It's a shame. But
But
anyway.
people, people starting out see guitar as this sort of like, I want to stand at the front and shred in front of everyone.
Mm.
And yeah, that's fun, but it's also the scary bit.
Yeah, don't fuck it up.
Yeah, everyone's listening.
And then the lights go down. You go, fuck! I can't see the frets. I don't know where I am.
Yeah, or you walk to the front and you're out of the lights, and
Yeah.
yeah,
You pull the lead out your amp, then you're just
yeah,
nothing.
it goes up, your amp falls over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was going to ask I think we've probably covered it, but like, what do you think's missing then from education, whether that's in schools and colleges or just on YouTube and Instagram?
I don't know, because the education I had, I went to college and then I went to tech music school. It was quite rounded. I
Mm,
feel like we did a lot of stuff, especially at tech. It was blues this term, rock this term, jazz this term. We went sort of through everything, but it kind of spat you out the end, and you felt like, oh well, I've done it. I've done all the different things.
mm,
And then it was only sort of a few years later that I thought, actually, I need to go back and work on all those things again. So I
yeah.
think the thing that's missing from education is the fact that it never stops, and we just need to keep going. And a lot of us feel like, oh, I've kind of completed that now. But then, I've been playing 25 years or so now. Sometimes I still go back and look at the major scale and
Mm,
find new things that I haven't found before, or that thing that I think I've got under my belt that I did 20 years ago. Turns out I've got it under my belt to the standard of 20 years ago.
yeah.
And my standards are up here now.
Yeah.
So, all that stuff you've already done, you benefit from going back and doing it all again.
Mm.
But who wants to go back and play Three Blind Mice and stuff like that? It feels that way sometimes when you're going back to do those very basic things.
Yeah. I mean, I tell you, I had it when I started to teach myself sight reading,
That,
having to
that's exactly it.
go back, not even go back, because I'm essentially starting at the wherever I was starting, because I could read a little bit, but you're playing tunes that, fuck, if I just put the record on, played it, listened to it a couple of times, I could work it out and then gig it.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I remember having not arguments, but kind of discussions with other players. And I said, yeah, I know, yeah, I've been working on reading. And they're like, well, I'll just put the record on, figure it out, and then go and gig it. I said, but that's a different skill.
yeah. I was
I want to
with,
work on this skill. I want to work on here are the dots. You can't listen to anything. You've just got to interpret as best you can what's written on the page. And when you think you got it down, then have a listen to it.
yeah, yeah. I
See
was
how close you are.
I was on a function thing recently with some horn players, and they were talking about, oh yeah, we've got these dots for this and these dots for that, and did you see this in your dots? And I said, oh, I didn't even look at the dots. You know, it's a
Yeah.
function. I know the tunes.
Yeah.
We're all going to play it. It'll be fine. But it really showed the way that, you know, different instruments approach things. Like
Mm.
horn players are just like, well, the dots are there. We've got to do it.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm like, it'll be way quicker for me to just listen to the tunes.
Yeah.
And if I listen to the tunes and learn it, I'm going to get it right. If I
Yeah.
read it, I'm probably going to maybe get it a bit wrong sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas, you know, just playing by my ear, that's what I'm used to.
Yeah.
I don't, reading is kind of missing from education.
Mm.
I don't know if that's what you were hinting at.
No, 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 not at all.
But
No.
I feel like reading is missing a little bit. And for me, you know, I went through a first diploma and then a BTEC. And yeah, we did, this is a crotchet, this is a quaver, blah, 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 and music theory. But we never did any reading, really.
Yeah.
We did a little bit, but
When did you go?
I went to, I mean, it's not there anymore, but it was at Hinckley College
When was this?
a long time ago,
Yeah.
17 years ago or something.
Okay.
18 years ago. But it was a great course with great teachers, and you know, the particular time I was there spat out some great students that we all went on to be professionals.
Yeah.
Um, but it's no longer there. But you know, we did some reading, but then when it was coming time to apply for university, I had to do 2 or 3 hours of reading every day to get it good enough
Yeah.
to get in. Whereas, you know, if you start out having classical guitar lessons, day one is you're looking at the page.
Mm.
But then you get 15 years down the line and somebody says, improvise this solo, and you say,
Mm.
but where are the dots?
Yeah.
You know, I've worked with classical musicians that, for example, I filled in on a tour with an orchestra, and the MD said one day, we had a technical issue yesterday, so we're going to just do this song. We're just going to practice it without the tracks and without the dots and everything. We'll just play it because it's really
Mm.
easy, just in case anything goes wrong. So we've got a backup. And I just looked to my right, and the double bass player is sweating bullets. Yeah, like literally sweating bullets. And the MD down the mic goes, "Oh, the bass line's just bum 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 bum," and he's just like, and I could feel his sort of,
Yeah.
feel the fear radiating from
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
And I just get my phone and I just go in iReal Pro and I find my little chart for it from a function or whatever. And I just go, here you go. And he goes, oh, thank you so much. And then he just read it.
Mm.
And that he had like almost no oral perception skills. Like he couldn't just find those 5 notes that the MD sang down the talk back to him.
Yeah.
And this is a guy that's, you know, probably gone to Royal College of Music and, you know,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
incredible musician. But it just shows the disparity in the skills that we learn as pop musicians and
Yeah.
classical type musicians, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It was very eye opening.
Yeah. I mean, I had almost the exact same experience. Like, I was on a show and it was a swing band, and the brass section had left the dots at home, and we were in like Exeter, and they were like panicking, and I'm like, just play it.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we can't. We haven't got the dots. I was like, but surely you've run through them at home and you've played them. And they're like, no. I was like, what do you mean no? No, we'll have the dots in front of us. I mean, most of them are all standards, and we know the tunes, but I can't. We haven't memorized the lines.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's so fucking weird. I was like, okay, what are you gonna do? It's there to fax. That's how long ago it was. They
Well,
faxed over
nice.
the charts to the hotel that we were gigging in.
Wow.
And again, it was just like you said, it's eye opening. Like, okay, so like, and when I saw the charts, I was like, there's no fucking way I could read that.
No, exactly.
And they would like they did one run through, quick scan through everything, and then played the show brilliantly. And it's just like, wow, like it's amazing reading, but you're fucked without the dots.
But a lot of these readers, in my experience, you know, they can read so well, they haven't even looked at it.
Yeah,
You'll turn up and I'll be there and I'll have maybe 2 bits that I've got to read because I've learnt everything else, and I'm freaking out over those 2 passages that I've got to read. And they're just like having 3 beers in the pub before
Yeah,
and they'll turn up, open a book and fine.
yeah. Like you said, it's how different players or different styles of players approach playing. And I think both are exceptionally valid.
But then the few that can do both are just
Yeah.
invaluable.
I mean, there's Pete Callard. Who else?
John Wheatcroft.
John Wheatcroft. Yeah. Okay.
And then a load of horn players I know.
And then, yeah.
There's not many guitar players.
Yeah. It's cool. Like I've done a few sit-ins in the West End over the last month or so. And I do ask them, like, I sat in on Book of Mormon and Tommy Emerton, who's on guitar. And I said, how long have you been doing this? He's like, since it opened, 12 years. And I said, could you play it without the pad? He went, nope.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
But
But then,
you don't learn it when you're reading it.
but that's what he said. And when I do a show, I've started doing shows over the last year. Even if I get to I get to the end of the run of, even if it's only like 5 or 6 shows, I reckon I could do 60, maybe 70% of it without the pad. If iPad broke or the charts caught fire, I reckon I could do it.
But then the majority of the stuff you do is learn it and play it rather than read it. So your
Yes,
brain is probably still trying to learn it while you're reading it, if that makes sense.
I think so. Yeah, I think I'm definitely a stronger commit this to memory rather than I'll just read it.
Yeah.
Not saying that I don't think Tommy could do that. I'm sure he probably could, but it's weird. Like if it's a show that if I've only have to do it once or twice, then there's no way I could do it without the pad. Fucking hell, I've just forgotten what I was going to say. Make a note of that so I can edit this out.
That's all right.
Yeah, I forgot what I was going to say. Like I read it less when I get to the end, and it's just there. It's just this line. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, I got that.
It becomes bigger chunks, doesn't it?
Yes.
You kind of see that chunk and go, oh, I know how this line goes.
Yeah, but yeah, it's weird how when I'm learning it, like you said, when I'm reading it, I'm learning it, and I'm listening to it in the context of a song. Like, okay, this is the chorus coming up. There's a double chorus this time round, and that's before I've even glanced at the pad.
Yeah. Whereas I think when you are a proper reader, it's like reading a book. You
Yeah,
don't read the Da Vinci Code and get to the end and you can just recite it by memory. Some people can, but they're special.
yeah, savants can. Yeah, that's weird. I was thinking about. I don't know why I thought of that. Savants. I was teaching at school. I was just thinking of that scene in Rain Man where he's with the doctor and he's like, "What's 32 times 763?" And he's like, "This guy should be at NASA. How much is a chocolate bar? $100. How much is a car? $100." It's like, whoa, what the fuck? But yeah, I don't know why I thought of that. It was weird. But yeah, what's coming up rest of the year other than depping for me?
Yeah, that's the scariest one.
Yeah.
Just more of the same. We're working on some stuff for sync music at the moment.
Okay.
Myself and my wife and a team of musicians I've got around us. We're just building up a library at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's trying to delve into different styles of music.
Mm.
To make them, you've got to know them.
Country, bit of jazz.
Country, bit of jazz,
Yeah.
even stuff like house music, disco house.
Okay.
It's got all that Nile Rodgers stuff all over it. That really,
Yeah.
to me. But yeah, trying to do more of that stuff that you can do from home in your
Yeah.
dressing gown.
That's the dream. If you can earn a living
Yeah,
before you've got your underpants on, you're doing well.
I draw the line at that. But yeah,
That's
can
cool.
can we talk about modelling stuff for a moment?
Yeah, man. That was yeah.
Last time, and I know most people probably didn't hear it because it got taken down.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with that. It was just a glitch in the system. But yeah, go on, modelers. So I'm going to say that over the last, I don't know if you've seen any of my reels.
Yep.
I pulled out an amp a month ago and I haven't used a modeler since. Like the last half dozen gigs or so, I'm taking my amp. I've got the room. Unless anyone tells me I can't, I'm taking my amp, and it's just so fucking lovely.
Yeah, well, I mean, where we got to, I'll give a brief synopsis of what I said last time. I'm a vintage valve guy. I like old 1960 valves that sound just slightly bit nicer.
Yeah.
So for me, to go to a modeling rig is like really alien, and it feels very different and sounds a bit different. And the distortions I feel are all a little bit fizzy sounding,
Yeah.
not as harmonically rich. And I was filling in on a show with an orchestra, big shows, like 5 to 10,000 people per
Hmm.
gig. They insisted, as it was an orchestra, they didn't want a loud guitar amp on the stage.
Yeah.
Based on the recommendation of someone who'd got one, he said, get a Helix, I'll help you program all your sounds.
Hmm.
In the studio, through studio monitors at home, it sounded good.
Which Helix was it?
It was the Stomp.
Just the little one, the little
Yeah,
three-button one.
the
Yeah.
little one, yeah.
That's the one I've used.
Yeah, but I mean, for the most part, I think they're fairly similar. You just can't run as many things at the same time on the
Yeah.
small ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so I get on this gig and I do the first one, and they call my name to go up to the front to my bit of tape and do a solo in front of however many thousands are there. And I hit the first bend, and it
Mm.
didn't feel right. It didn't sound right, and because of that, I didn't play right.
Yeah.
So I came away from that and I thought, this isn't really for me. It's too much of a jack of all trades type thing. So I got a Universal Audio Dream 65, which is basically just a Fender Twin emulation in a box. And it's on the end of my pedal board, and all my normal pedals go into it, and then I treat it as an amp, and it goes into a DI and straight into the desk.
Yeah.
Now that, for playing funk and clean stuff, is incredible.
Hmm.
You can hardly tell the difference. It's so close.
Yeah.
But when you switch on a distortion pedal,
Nope.
it's just not quite as good.
Yeah.
Every time I've taken a solo for the last year and a half, I've just been like, ugh. But in the last week, I bought this beauty,
Oh yeah. Yeah. 2 notes.
Captor, and basically it's a reactive load box,
Yep.
attenuator, speaker simulator, and amp DI. So I took it on my first shows this weekend.
Yeah.
Basically, I used my Dr. Z Maz 18. I just used my pedal board straight into that, and then it comes out of the back of the amp into this box
Yeah.
instead of the speaker. And then it's just got an XLR that goes to the desk. And I was doing the gig and, playing all the clean stuff. And I was thinking, yeah, this does sound a little bit nicer. But then I put on my Sir Riot
Mm.
and I hit a big chord, and the difference is unreal. Absolutely unreal. The amount of harmonics and it just sounded full. It just
Mm.
sounded like a full, rich distortion. And I felt like this, the sustain was more under my fingers and legato was coming up better. It just felt like a real amp again.
Yeah. What were you using in ears?
Yes. Yeah.
What ears do you use?
I have a bunch of the different sort of Chinese ones, CCA I
Yeah.
use.
Yeah.
There's C16 Pros. They've got like 8 drivers in each ear.
Okay.
I'm too clumsy for expensive in-ears.
Yeah. Do you know I had some?
I'll drop them in a glass of water.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Or
I
some,
had a friend of mine said get these ones on Amazon. I can't remember what they were called. They were under 20 quid, and I was like, fucking hell, they're really good.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so I bought 2 pair, and I gigged them both for 18 months, and the little bendy wire that goes around your ear had just gone completely, and they were like folding off the top of my ears. I'll get some new ones, and I treated myself to a pair of Shure. I can't remember what they're called.
The 1.5s.
SE25s or something. They're about 100.
They're the dual driver ones.
Yeah, they're coming up to 200 quid, I think.
Yeah,
And
they're the ones I had before.
I used them on a gig the other day, and I had a bass player on it. I'd never met that bass player, and he went, "Oh, what is you got?" I showed him, and he said, "I had those. They're a bit lifeless." And I put them on, did the whole gig. I went, "They are shit. I hate them." I said, "I'm going back to my 20 quid ones."
Yeah, I
There's
would
something,
recommend some of the Chinese ones that have got sort of 8 drivers in.
yeah,
Apparently, they are modelled on some of the more expensive models. I can't speak to that, but all I know is when I was using the Shure stuff,
yeah,
even the 425s when I had them, they were a little bit. They sounded good, but then when I cranked the bass up. I need more bass. I turn the bass up in my ears, and it just started to be a bit farty, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But I find the ones that have got sort of dedicated subs at the bottom to sound a lot nicer.
Mm.
But the thing with this load box as well is that it's not mic'd up through an SM57.
Yeah,
So there were a lot of harmonics that even just micing up my guitar amp
yeah.
are usually missing.
Okay.
But the thing with this is that it can be, I can run into the Dream 65, the Universal Audio, and
Yeah.
straight to the desk, and then out my switcher, I can also run to my amp,
Mhm.
go to the load box and straight to the desk, but it can also come out of the load box into the speaker.
Yeah.
So you can have your speaker running, your DI rig running, and your amp DI rig running. You can have
Yeah.
all three going at once.
And they can mic up all three,
I
and
could have all three.
and they can blend this fucking wall of guitar for you. Yeah,
Exactly.
but they don't. They'll just DI it.
I was thinking more for, as much as I love valve amps and vintage valves, once in a while they do.
Yeah, yeah,
So, to have a DI rig on your board just plug straight in as well, and then you've got two lines and they can just switch. It seems like a good safety option to me.
yeah. I've got something similar. I had the Boss. I think it's the IR2,
Yeah, yeah.
which is fine. Yeah, I mean, I think that the whole amp modeler thing, I'm happy to use the modeler if I have to use it. Like if I'm doing a show and I'm in an orchestra pit, no one wants a fucking Marshall 12 by 2, 12 by 4 behind, or 12 by 8, or whatever it is. 12 by 4,
A
4
wall
by
of
12. Fucking hell, I can't think today. A 4 by 12, that's the correct term. Behind them, do they? So, yeah.
No, they don't. I just think it's nice to take an amp out on gigs again. And, for a lot of the gigs where they don't want you to have an amp,
Hmm.
I can still take a valve amp and
Use
I'm
DI.
happy and they're happy with the DI and
Yeah.
everyone's a winner.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think I will probably need to invest in one of those
Yeah, I
capture two
mean,
notes load box things.
this one is the cheaper one of the ones they do. The other one has lots of options for different cabinet emulations and
Yeah.
where the microphone is or whatever. But I'm old school. I want to plug it in and it just works.
Yeah.
You
Yes.
know, I switched it to the switch that says guitar and I'm done.
Yeah. You're speaking my language.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I fucking hate about the modelers is now you got to do a deep dive. What amp do you want? What mic do you want on it? What cabinet do you want? It's like, I just want it to work.
Yeah, I just want to plug it in and it make a G chord when I play it.
Yeah. But some people love that. Like,
I know.
do you know John Gregson?
No.
So he came on fucking hell 6 months ago, and I did a sit-in with him on the West End, and he loves doing those things. He loves landscaping
Yeah.
tones with his quad cortex or his thing. And
Yeah.
I guess there is such a demand because some people like me, some people like you who hate doing that shit. You could just send him a list. This is this is the gig. These are the sounds that I need, and he will create it for you.
Yeah, I have a friend like that as well, and he, you go on a gig with him and say he's playing, I don't know, a Taylor Swift song or something. It's like he'll get to the chorus and he's got exactly the same perfect delay sound,
Yeah.
exactly the same as the record every time.
Mm.
And that's great. But I feel like when you're playing live in a smaller unit, that isn't always the thing you want.
Yeah.
To play the exact part of the record with the exact sound, it's not always what you need.
Mm.
Sometimes you've got to fill more space.
Yeah.
Sometimes the drummer's hats are sitting in a different place and you've got to play something slightly different,
Yeah. And if
It's
they've recorded 4 guitar parts, like right, I can actually blend these 2 guitar parts together.
yeah, yeah. Or I'm going to do something that encompasses a bit of everything and
Yeah.
fills more sonic space
Yeah.
because there's only 4 of us,
Yeah.
for example. Whereas some of the people I know that are really into that modeling stuff, they will have every sound programmed for every section, and it's not always what you need.
Mm.
Sometimes you just need to rock up with a valve amp and a distortion pedal and just do what you do.
And just make some noise.
Yeah, exactly. But, I can see value on both sides of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, it depends on the gig. If you were doing a Taylor Swift tribute show, then meticulously planning the sounds and the delays and everything is
Yeah, of course.
valid.
Yeah.
And I think in fact, it's probably expected of you. But if you're like, do you know what, let's bust out this tune. It's like, okay, well, how many different parts can I incorporate in in the part that I'm going to play.
Yeah. And, you know, if, Stevie Wonder's management called me tomorrow and said, "Oh, we want you to come on tour, but you're gonna have to get a quad cortex," I'd be on the phone to Neural before
Yeah, yeah.
you put the phone down, you know? But in general, I've got to the point where I wanna be comfortable.
Yeah.
And if I'm gonna be if I play better when I'm more comfortable, you know?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
We all do.
Yeah.
So, I've got to the point now where I'm trying to just make a bit of a compromise where I can be comfortable and MDs and band leaders and sound
Mm.
engineers can get what they want from the
Yeah.
DI and everyone's happy, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think John, I agree. I think yeah, so long as everyone's happy, and I think so long as whoever's coming to see the show, if they're paying money, so long as
Well,
they're happy.
I think that's the bit everyone forgets about as well.
I know, I know. Everybody talks. Well, we always talk about the gear that we're using, with the mics that we're using, the sound engineers, and the. I think the person that gets thought about last is the people that's come along and they've paid 20, 30 quid to come and see you, and they want to see a show.
Yeah. But most of them are just listening to the singer.
Yeah. So
How many times have you done a gig and somebody's come up to you afterwards and say, "Oh, which one were you playing? Was it the big guitar or the little one?"
yeah, who are you? Yeah, who are you? It's all right. I was just stood in front of you for 2.5 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
But I posted a little. We did our first that country gig that you're depping for me. We did our first gig a couple of weeks ago, and I posted a little video to my Instagram. It's 3.5. Let's say it's a minute long. 59 seconds is the singer, and he pans a little bit, gets me and the bass player, and comes back for
Yeah.
like half a second. It's like in out, and I posted like, if you blink, you'll miss me. But and the singer dropped me a message like, "Oh, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. I didn't mean." I was like, "No, that's the gig. That's part and parcel of doing it." Yeah, I found another one, a photo years ago, 5 or 6 years ago. I was on stage and someone took a photo of the singer, and my head is directly behind the PA speaker. You can see my guitar, but my head is where the PA speaker is. I was like, and I think I said something like, "It's what was it like? This photo perfectly sums up 20 years as a professional musician."
Yeah, behind the speaker, nobody's watching or listening. And, you know, a lot of the time I try to just have fun on the stage with the band
Yeah,
because I feel like, yes, most of the audience aren't really listening to you until you step forward and start playing something fast.
yeah,
But if you are having fun with the rest of the musicians on stage, that translates
yeah,
and the audience feel that and
mm,
have a better time.
yeah,
So although I'm not thinking about them, a lot of the time I'm trying to just get the band to enjoy what we're doing
mm,
so that they will enjoy it,
yeah,
you know, as a knock-on effect.
yeah.
Because I think they can really tell when you're all just
Yeah, I remember I got taken off a gig that I was just not enjoying,
yeah,
and the MD said, "You're not enjoying this, are you?" I said, this is not why I got into music." I said, It's everything is to track,
yeah,
and it's just vocals, guitar, and I think sax or keys or something was live. But even the sax, the vocals, the guitars, like all my guitar parts are still on track. It's like, why? What am I even doing here?
I got a feeling I know what this gig is, and I think I've done it as well.
Yeah, no, it was a tribute band.
Oh, okay, no.
It wasn't a function, but yeah, I know those functions. Yeah, I felt the same with those as well.
Whether it's like guitar and bass and sax and vocals, and the guitar and bass are on the track as well.
Yeah.
20,
Why am I even here?
25 years, you know, university studied,
Yeah.
and now I'm playing along to some MIDI guitar on the backing
Yeah.
track.
Yeah. So yeah, I think like coming out of your shell, trying to have as much fun on stage as you can is I think that's another skill. Like I stopped drinking halfway through my music career, and having to learn how to play on stage without having one or two drinks before the gig
Yeah,
was a real big deal. Like it was like fucking this is really like it's almost like I had to learn how to play again.
yeah, yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
also when you drink a lot, you playing becomes a bit rough as well.
very rough.
So, you know, you're almost used to running with weights on your ankles and then you've taken them off.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, no, I forgot what I'm saying as well.
Yeah, that's cool. Where are you this weekend?
Where am I this weekend? Just some function stuff this weekend.
Yeah,
Just your normal Valerie.
yeah.
You know, I have this phrase that I say to people when they say, you know, that was a lot of fun tonight. You know, you make it fun on the stage. I say, if you can't find the joy in playing Valerie,
Hmm.
this is the wrong game for you.
Yeah, yeah,
We're all going to be playing Valerie and Brightside and all those things
yeah.
indefinitely.
Yeah, so yeah, I still think of Mr. Brightside as a new song, and it's 22
Yeah,
years old.
something like that. Yeah.
It's older than Wonderwall was when I first started gigging
Wow.
by a good 10 years, I reckon, which is fucking bonkers.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I know. Anyway, listen, George, it was lovely to have you back on.
Yeah.
Finally, we managed to get it down.
Hopefully this one worked.
Hopefully, I've been keeping my eye on the levels, and like you haven't cut out, hasn't said anything, so hopefully it's fine. I will run through and double check it properly. Yeah, cut out the last 30 minutes or something.
Yeah, it was very strange.
Weird, yeah. But anyway,
Some of my family that listened to it thought you were a narcissist. It's only you at the end.
so I can only apologise. But yeah, I usually only check like the first, like I make notes, like if there's any like serious fuck ups or anything, I make notes like 7 minutes, just edit this out, 10 minutes, edit this out. And there was nothing on my notes. And then when I listened to it, I listened to like the first couple of minutes. I was like, yeah, levels sound good. That all sounds fine. Upload it. Didn't clock that the last half an hour was just me rambling, answering
A lot of
questions to
ego.
nothing. Yeah.
Strange.
Anyway, I will. Yeah, I will speak to you soon. And thanks very much.
Yeah, no worries, mate.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. All the best. I'll speak soon.
See you soon.